All right. Pop this. All right. So Sunday's playtest was pretty good, and I learned of a few things I need to make adjustments for, of course, as I was expecting this. I want to make some of those adjustments now. I have a couple hours this morning. I hope everybody's having a good Veterans Day, but I have a couple hours this morning before I need to go do some other things. Um, And so these are the adjustments I want to make. So number one, this ramp here is bent a little bit too far to the left. So I want to rotate this ramp, this left ramp, tickle more vertical. And it won't affect like the backhands or anything really. And I'm really just rotating it like 1 degree. Then it won't be so far to the left. It'll be more centered. Here, I think I have another picture of this. Yeah, so it'll be a little bit more centered here. I also think I can pull this ramp back a little bit, which will allow me to move this post up hopefully about 1/2 inch and widen this entry point here, this left orbit entry, which will be better for shots because this is really low in the flipper and we were hitting this post a lot. Next thing, I want to try and take this flipper, this upper left flipper. I don't think I have a great shot of it. No. Sorry. This upper left flipper, and I want to bend it a little more vertical, so it's a little more in alignment with this post. That will lower the shot position of this ramp, because we were hitting this post quite a bit when trying to make around this ramp. So if I bend that down a little bit more, then that the sweet spot of the flipper will be more into the ramp than into the post. Doing that though adds complications because one of the reasons I remember I pulled this out a tickle was this. I didn't want this guy to be like shot directly from the flipper down here, smashed by the ball coming up this way from this flipper. I don't think that's going to be a big problem, and I can adjust the entry of this guide ever so slightly probably as well. um so yeah, you can see how that's pushed out. I want to pull that in a little bit more, and I don't think that's going to adjust like affect the hitability of this ramp really from this lower right flipper. So those are two things. Um, Next, I the guide back here, I want to actually define those and have the lifts correct because they do need to raise up a little bit for that left like little drop ramp thing. Um, so I'd like to get that taken care of. So those are like the main things I want to do this morning. I think it's all doable in the time I have. Something else I was thinking about too is taking this post over here, moving it to the left a little bit more, and breaking this rail up into two pieces. So you got this long inner right orbit rail, and then a shorter little flange rail here, because I don't think it needs to be this one big thing. And in doing that, that'll also potentially allow me later on to add some kind of inner shot here with a kick out over here. Um, One of the complaints that Emily had was this upper left flipper really only has this ramp as its shot. There's nothing else to really do. It would be convenient to remove one of or these two things and allow for you to shoot under here for one reason or another. So that's something only this can do. What that means for the pumpkin, I don't know. And uh so maybe it's not needed. I don't know, but it's a possibility because there is some space underneath here for that. Oh, and before I forget too, on this ramp, let's get too far. So on this ramp here, there's space for another post. I think like here or something. I'm gonna look into it because I have this disappearing post on the left side, we just discussed that maybe if I can get a disappearing post on this side, it'd be cool to be able to lock balls on both sides. Oh, I'd like to change this ramp, so I'm going to remove this piece that's part of this ramp, and eventually I'm going to make this into a metal weldment that comes off of this thing. Oh, my nose is itchy. So that's the plan for this morning. Did that not mute? Ugh. All right. So uh, as I said, the one of the first things I want to do is adjust this ramp here, and really all that is shifting the footprint over a little bit. That's probably the device holes. Yeah, this is parallel to that. Oh. I don't want that to be parallel to that anymore. Equal to that. That's fine. This there. So now why can't when that's half an inch from that? Yeah, I don't want that. I want this to be fixed. Well, this can be half an inch from there. And then this needs to shift really just like that. Like really minor shift. Three 3 degrees really. Like a very minor amount of movement. That'll make this ramp come up here more. 3 degrees might even be too much. 2 degrees might be even better. It's just gotta. Well, no, 3 degrees was about right based on what I was pushing in. Not that. Yeah, 3 degrees is about right. And there's a little bit of play on this, anyways. So if I make this 0.2 size, are these also going to be 0.2? Yeah. So just scaling that up just a little bit more to 0.2 from 3/16 will help. Because that gives me a little bit of adjustment. So when I put it in, I can kind of wiggle it slightly if I need to. That way, if it gets too close to this flipper, it won't be a problem. The next thing, I do want to pull this down more. Like there. Again, just to lower the flipper a little bit. It's not going to be egregious. Flipper paddle needs to be unfixed. Pull it down to there. So that opens this section up again a little bit more. But I think I can straighten this rail too. And it'll be fine. Because right now this rail is going right past in front of the flipper too much. So what rail is this? Rail is here. The sweep is here. Now, the thing I don't really want to affect too much is this curve, because this curve worked really well. So I think if I get rid of this, this curve, I want this curve to stay fixed. No, that won't do it. All right. I'm going to experiment with this. All right, so yeah, that keeps that curve kind of like that. So I guess if I take this guy, and instead of it being 7 3/8, I say 7.5. That pulls it up just slightly more, and I think that'll be okay. And that doesn't really affect this curvature at all. Now, where does this end up sending you, though, if you don't flip? Okay, so if you don't flip, the ball comes just to the tip of this flipper. Because remember, the ball is more of a slot type thing of 1 and 1/16. Or what's half of 1 and 1/16? I'm sorry, 1 and 1/16. So the ball kind of goes along here. But when it leaves the flipper tip, like here, it's going to kind of come down with gravity more. So it will be just right at the tip of the flipper. Now, obviously, if it's moving really slow, then it's going to be more towards the middle of the playfield if you don't flip, which isn't really ideal. Um, but if it's going at a decent click, then it's generally going to come over to like this tip of the flipper here when gravity kind of starts taking it. So it should be all right. And then to shoot that, you have to shoot it from here. Unfix this. I mean, you could, in theory, hit the nick of that. That's not where that shot goes. That shot goes more into the rubber there. To get here is actually, come on, actually a little further up. Get there, which then, yeah, no, I think it'll be okay. Come on, lead it. I think that'll be fine. Oh, wow, my hand is already acting up this morning. Not fun. So, okay, so when I exit the sketch, you'll see these holes all kind of make slight adjustments. Well, very minor adjustments. It's so much so you probably didn't even notice it. This is definitely going more in front of the flipper now, which gives you time to hit it. Okay. So those were some adjustments. I think this is in alignment to the holes. Yeah, so that's in alignment with the hole, so that's already been taken care of. So the other thing I did want to do is pull those holes up a little bit. Now that I'm thinking about it. Not the plane holes. So instead of this being half an inch, if I make this 0.25 inches, that pulls it in more. Um, and then this can pull up here more. You know? Let's reference pictures for a second. Yeah, so that just comes up a little bit more. It, just to tickle more. And then that widens that quite a bit. And because I have this hole associated with this post, if I rebuild, the hole just kind of moves there. Now, obviously, this guide is no good, so I need to adjust the guide. means this now becomes 3 inches. Nope, that's not what I want. This, unfix this. This should stay fixed. This now needs to become 3 inches. Or 3¼ inches. Yep. And then this curve kind of come. Nope, that's not what I want. Oh, I have this fixed. That's what I need. That this curve can come in more. And then this can become 3 inches. Yeah. All right, I might need to change that curve ever so slightly. Where does this fall? I don't have a good picture of that either. Bugger. Because I need that. I forgot to take a picture of that. This is far enough up there. I think it's going to conflict with this rail. I'm not concerned at the moment because I can always make another rail for that to mount on, I think. But also, this is shifted up a little bit more, so that actually might just nestle in like perfectly right there. So it might be fine. I am going to adjust the flipper a little bit though. This needs to pull down a bit. Flipper base. Pull this down. Come on. What's your problem? Should be able to rotate you. No, I can't rotate you because I loaded the wrong thing. Adoy. Alright, now I can rotate this. Now down just a little bit just to clear this spot a little bit more. Then if I rebuild, everything will kind of pop into place. Oh, it already popped into place. But so now that has space as needed. I don't think it was going to be a problem anyways because this tab would cover this, but just so the wood wouldn't get chewed up, I wanted to move it down a little bit. Okay, so that's adjustments for all of that. Now I want to look on this right side to see if, in fact, I can kind of get a post right here. Kind of. Now I could rearrange this thing a little bit so it comes more straight down here and then curves in. I guess kind of like what this side does because this is a little ambidextrous. Well, that's not the right. It is a little reflective of each side. If I pull this post down more, I don't even need to do that. No, I just need this ramp to come more straight. Why are you not moving? What are you associated with that prevents you from moving? Whoa, don't do that. Okay, now that'll pull down. I guess there. Because now I can put a post right here. It doesn't give a lot of space for a switch, but maybe that's fine. Maybe that's fine. And actually, when I make adjustments here, because this needs to come down a little bit more while I'm here. This is actually down more like that. Got you. You there. This is more like this, technically. Come on. No. Because this is still a little downhill, which is fine. That isn't okay. So here's a little trick that will actually work pretty well. Um, if you look at one of these images I have here, this whole thing is an entire ramps width plus. If I can zoom in, it's like higher than a ramp's width above this. So that means I can technically have the ball go back up the playfield a little bit, and this ramp can bend down, which will allow gravity to even pull it down even when it goes up the playfield a little bit between the force coming around here and yeah. So it'll then go wonk and over. Hmm. And then that gives me more space here for ball locks. That might be the more correct answer. Obviously, this is all fucked up now. I don't want to do that. I think there's another. Yeah, it's a little weird there. This is missing an edge. Missing an edge. Missing an edge. And this needs an edge here. Again, this isn't going to be part of the final ramp. I'm just leaving it here because I don't want to lose the sketch. You know, the brain thought. Something else that can be done is this thing can be shifted over a little bit. Yeah, this can be shifted over a little bit more. More in line with that. Gives me more space for posts and other things, and it smooths out a bunch of these other happenstances. What are you bitching about? Holy shit. Exit sketch. The fuck? All you did was pull that over a little bit. The hell did that do? There's nothing wrong with this. Contains a self-intersecting contour. Oh, is it over here? Yeah, it's over here. Okay. Here we go. Okay. So this actually does need a little bit of adjustment too. Again. Because I want a little bit more of a lead up to this. Oh, stop that. You need to stay there. Yeah, a little more like that so it kind of comes around. Now, the one unfortunate thing about this, actually, I can fix that by elongating this because I do have space for this post now. I don't want to lose the speed. Come on. I don't want to lose the speed that I had. Are you really? Yeah, kind of like that. I don't want to lose the speed that I had on that because that was a really nice return. And if it goes too sharp, then you're going to lose speed. There's that. Um, and then this leaves probably one at least half an inch here. Yeah. That half an inch is going to have a metal bracket because this actually isn't going to be there. So let's make this not for construction. Let's make this 1 inch. Um, and I think I'm going to need to pull that inlane down or that rollover down a bit. That way it can actually get on it. Because I really want it to fly down through there. Because that inner left orbit is so much fun, and if it just goes really fast, that'll really throw you for a loop. 1.5, 1.25. So this allows me to mount right here. 1.5. This doesn't need to be 1.5. This can be 1.25 here. This can be equal to this. Why don't you like that? Oh, this is already set to, yeah, 5. I want this right in the middle. There. Oh. That can come around like that. And again, a lot of this is going to become plastics, but I am going to end up making another ramp buck eventually, probably next month, because I don't necessarily need this right now, and I do need to order more plastic. So there's that. This other side, I'm probably going to do a similar thing to have kind of power inlaney type things. That screw the ramp up a little bit. Let's fix this. I do not want this there. I want it to be full linear. Then I need to yell what's going on here for feature. This also is part of the shell. And now that that's not a loop, I need to add those other loop points up there on the other side here. This one, not that one, this one. There we go. Okay, so now you can kind of really see an exaggerated view of this. It goes from an inch and 3/4 to an inch and 1/4 pretty quickly here. But again, I can get away with this because the ball, like the inch and a half here, is gonna have my ramp switch, so that fits standard devices fine. Down here, I'm purely just guiding the ball at this point, so I don't need anything special. This is gonna be some optos right over here, so the optos will work better with a shorter distance, and the disappearing post that's gonna be like right over here or some such. I mean that with the smaller area, it locks the ball better, so it doesn't, compound on itself too much. And then this exit point guides the ball more directly down. Um, so right, the under arch flipper area. So these has been meticulously designed is now going to be unmeticulously designed. Once I figure out the right thing to undesign. um, this offset here is associated with what? A 1.5 there. So this should be 2 inches. 1.75 inches. Yeah, maybe 1 3/8 inch. No, 7/8 inch will probably work fine. And on this side, same idea. Figure out where this association is. Okay. 1 7/8 inch. Yeah. That allows the ball to hopefully get on this inlane. Maybe the inlanes need to be right here. The switches need to be right here, but then that can be kind of spammy. I know. I got an idea. Oh, but that's different, right? Those don't actually go over the. I was gonna look up mousing around because it has a similar exit, but those don't actually go over the rollovers, and I kind of want this to go over the. Or maybe they shouldn't go over the rollovers. Maybe it can be a virtual rollover. That's a pain in the ass. Um, no, I'll just pull it down, and it should work probably. Actually, you know what? I know what I can do. That'll guarantee it to work more often than not. Uh, Instead of this being 1 1/4 inch, I'll make this 0.75 inches again. No, don't fix here. 0.75. Okay. So this will bind onto this post, but through a metal bracket, not through the ramp itself. That way this has an earlier drop. That way this will have an earlier drop, so when the ball rockets around here, it'll still more often than not get on the lane, click on the lane. So I think that'll be okay. That's how we'll do that. Okay, so far I've done those things. I need to cut the hole for the other bracket, um, which is devices. I think it's just a basic coil mounting bracket. Yep. Paste this. Let's move this. Eight. Okay, so ideally, if it can work, I want this to be like completely reflected from this side over on this side, or close to it. And it'll be close. You know, it's got to go kind of like right here. Oh, that's gonna. Well, I can rotate this thing. So it's got to go kind of like right there, I think. So it'll be a little lower. Well, maybe I can make it not lower. Maybe I can make it not lower. Let's see. All the way across here. Well, this is probably going to be in the way here. Surprisingly, it just fits. Okay. Sure. I guess it was meant to be. Sure. I guess it was meant to be. Meet that with the bracket. Now the one difference for sure is I guess I can mount it that way. It might make more sense mount it down this way. If I mount it this way, now it's away from all kinds of screws and everything. And I still have room for some lights right here and a light right here. Because don't forget, I need to be able to fit GI in these things. Which, that's being said, I can't fit any GI right here. So, whoops. Yeah, no. I mean, well, but then there's no GI. And this can, if I rotate this like this, then I can get some GI. Kinda, I can get one right here. I can get a couple, one, yeah, one there. I can still get a couple. So that's better. So that's probably where that should go. This is the edge of the playfield over here, so it's not completely on the edge, but it's getting close. I don't like having it half an inch to the edge there. That should be enough for the GI, and then this is further away from the edge. Um, and it's not going to get in the way of the switch. I don't think. Well, if the leads come out this way, oh, those leads are getting close to the switch too. I don't think I can do that. I think it's got to be vertical because those leads get really close to that switch if it's not vertical. Okay. Yeah, I don't have to worry about that on this side. Okay, this will be how it is. All right, and the last thing I really kind of wanted to do today while it was on my mind is these lift pieces here. Okay, so compared to, yeah, compared to the original design that I had, or the design I built over here, I don't think I have a really good picture of it. Yeah, so this section here, I started it like way down over here, which is like, almost up across from where this flipper T-nut is. On the actual game, uh, so that T-nut is way down here. On the actual game, it's nowhere close to that. You see how far that is? So I obviously built it wrong because I had that pad go way the hell down here, which is completely wrong. That's why I was binding and having problems here. Yeah, I have it on my YouTube channel, Lynn's Custom Pins. I've been uploading them there. I'll get Sunday's streams up on there sometime this week. I really kind of want to combine them into one video, but I might not be able to. There's like 3 separate videos, and they're all kind of kerfuffled a little bit. But yeah, I post them on Lynn's Custom Pins, my YouTube channel. Um, and they're in a playlist, so you can watch it in order. I think it's like 30 hours of it so far. So yeah, with the build, it's obviously you can see just from this picture, as I was saying, right down in here, like this foam core is like way over here, and then it has a pad down here, so it's like at this level, like an inch above the T nut. Which, looking at the model, an inch above the T nut is like here. So it's way, obviously that's wrong, and that's why I was having problems with that. So I'm not concerned about where this ramp is and how this ramp is really shaped, because clearly I just put it together wrong. Um, so that said, this at an end point is fine. This at an end point is fine. I'm going to need to make the lift on this whole bloody curve. So that's going to be fun. So let's open this part separately. That is not in CNC. It's in parts, metal guides, left orbit, outer. Okay, that's this one. I'll start with this one, then I'll do the other one. So this has a lofted lift, which I hate doing. Um, Essentially what I'm going to do, so this whole diagonal is going to go away, and it's just going to be one flat piece. And the diagonal is going to go from this point here around the curve up to this point. And I'm going to do it in like 3 different operations. First, I'm going to, well, 4, I guess. First, I'm going to make this whole thing flat. Then I'm going to do a lift or a loft that goes from here to here, following along this curve. And it's going to be way too fat for its own good. Then finally, I'm going to do either 1 or 2 different operations to just cut straight through down and completely make things parallel and clean again. I'm sure there's an easier way to do it, but I don't know how to do that. So that's the best I can come up with. Okay, so step 1 is make this there. Extrude up to surface. Here. Okay. Now I'm going to make a sketch here. Gonna be a big asshole block. Midpoint of this will be in the midpoint here. This is gonna be here, here, go linear. Then I'll make this 1 inch wide, which is again obviously too wide, but this is gonna be the easiest way I know of to do this. All right, so that's one sketch. The other sketch is going to be down over here. This one, oh, I can use that endpoint because I was somewhat smart. Ow. This sketch is going to be down here because good. Sometimes you need to make a 3D sketch for this because you got to make a special plane. But I don't need to do that this way. And start there. And this is going to be midpoint to the midpoint up in. Well, I'm going to need to draw a line there, I suppose. And then this midpoint can be right on there. This is going to be 1 inch wide. And I'm going to start this a little higher up. I'm going to make this 0.5 inches. So it'll kind of loft and expand as it goes. Because why not? And then finally, I'm going to do one more sketch. The top here. And it's going to be this curve, which is what I want. So convert the entity. So now I'm going to loft these two things. Where's my loft? Loft. And I make sure the vertices are right because the vertices always get selected incorrectly for whatever damn reason. Okay, so now obviously it's trying to go straight diagonal like that, which is not what I want. I want it to follow the guide curve of this. Oh, please don't do this to me now, you idiot. Normal to profile. Okay, well, maybe it's not that. Maybe it's the center line. It's one of these things I know work. Okay, it's the center line. Good. It's the center line. Jesus Christ. Okay, so now that has that nice loft curve. Right there. This is what I was trying to do the other day with that other damn ramp, but now it works fine. So maybe I need to do like 10 operations for the fucking... I don't know. Anyways, obviously it's too fat. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to take the sketch, this topmost sketch here. Actually, no, yeah, no, this topmost sketch will work fine. Or plane, I mean. So I'm going to take that plane. I'm then going to convert some entities. Because if I go and I look through this, I still have the actual real thing down here. So I can grab this. I can grab this. I can convert it. Convert entities. Then I kind of go... this needs to be collinear. And this be collinear. Which also happens to be perpendicular to the actual thing, which is exactly what I want. This is just flat out horizontal. So what I'm effectively doing is I'm creating two bodies that'll now slice straight down. And when I do an extrude cut through all, unless SolidWorks wants to be a pain in the ass, should clean this all up. Like this. So now I have this nice little guide. And I'm not going to try and fillet and curve these pieces, these top corners. I'm going to use that as a guide for me because when I hand bend this thing, I need to know when to stop and when to end. And yeah, I do have these in cut pieces which help, but even having like a top guide as well with sharp points is nice. Okay, so now in theory, I should be able to take this, and I'm going to test this before I scream bloody murder if it doesn't work. Sheet metal. Convert to sheet metal. Select all bits. Oh, huzzah! It found them. Good. So now I can flatten the part, and you can see the part is all perfectly flat with the right curve and everything that I want in there to when I go to fabricate this. Thank God. So unflatten, unsheet metal, that's fine. So that all works. This is exactly what I want it to be. God, I wish it worked as cleanly like this all the time, you know? Okay, so that's one. Now, the other thing that needs to be done, which I can do back in the actual assembly, is I need a little piece right here to raise up for the ramp to mount, because I don't actually want that separate post. If I can remove parts, then I'll remove parts. It's always nice to do that. I mean, this doesn't even need to be straightened. I guess that's fine. Okay, so that's one done. So now let's do the same thing with the left orbit inner. Again, this is going to flatten out. This whole thing is going to do a loft, cut straight down, make sure sheet metal works, and then profit. Yay. Through that to the surface. There. All right. And this also has a plane right here I can use too, which is really nice. I'm going to start off with this plane. Sketch on there. Let's face that plane properly to make life easier. Ba-doomp. My midpoint. Here it is. Again, this is going to be an inch. Well, this is a tight curve, so how about 0.75 inches? It should be fine. The other one was a much more gradual. This is tighter. You need to kind of play with your tolerances a little bit. At least, in my opinion, you do. Now down here, sketch, base it. Do the drawing. Let's midpoint things. I'm not gonna midpoint down here because I don't want it to go that low. This is only gonna go half an inch. But I do need to draw a guide sketch at the top to make sure it does actually midpoint in between these two line segments. Find that there. This 0.75. Excuse me, I said midpoint that right there. Thank you. Then I need my center guide, which is what it considers it. Which is just going to be this arc. Now loft of these things and fix the vertices. loft. Because as always, the vertices are fucked up. Like, why can't it be smart enough to know that this is the vertex that goes with this, right? I like, come on. It's very obvious that's what I wanted to do. Curve that in. Again, it seems to work so far. Knock on wood. Cautiously optimistic. Get these inner arcs again. Convert these entities and block things out. Be a little smarter about it this time. So I don't have to do as many clicks. Linear. Linear. Extrude cut through all. All right. That all looks okay, but the real test is going to be the whatchamacallit, the sheet metal test. Select this, sheet metal, convert to sheet metal, collect all bends, and it finds it again. Yay! Huzzah! What? Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. What the fuck is this? The fuck is going on here? Okay, so that's unrelated to that. Oh, yeah, that's a screw up with me. See how this goes way too far down for the fillet? I just need to make an extra little like cut right there. That way the sheet metal knows how to bend. You can't bend like this. This is a milling process, not a bending process. So I'm going to pull up. Oops. I'm going to hide those operations because I want this to be like higher up on the operation tree. Oh yeah, that's all right. Oh wait, here it is. This is the problem. Trim this. And this height needs to be 1/8 inch. Now that's all in line, and then when I, yeah. Yeah, so now that's all in line. So when I do the sheet metal operation again, just for sanity checks. Now that's not fucked up. So when I flatten this, see that's no longer fucked up right there. Okay. So good. Those two guides were made properly. Yay. And for somehow they worked out for the first try. But as you saw, I had to do like a lot of Mickey Mousing to make this little lofted curve thing smooth and sheet metalable. Now, obviously, if I actually make sheet metal operations the way they're supposed to be done, which I don't know how to do it, I don't necessarily run into this. But dealing with sheet metal operations, I also think, I could be wrong, it's not nearly as flexible as being able to just bang something out quick like it is with regular extrusions and things. Someone who has more knowledge, please tell me if I'm right or wrong. This is a process that works for me. It's not necessarily the right process, and it might not work for you, but that's, you know. Because what I would love to just define the shape on a flat piece of sheet and then specify where bends are based on that. But I don't know if that's possible with SolidWorks or with the sheet metal operations or what. I just haven't looked into it enough. I'm sure there's a way to do it, but I just haven't looked into it enough. Oh, what are you complaining about with this boss? Oh, because the yeah, that point no longer exists. Right. Here we go. Easy peasy. Okay. Now when I load up the playfield again, those things should be fine and they shouldn't clash with the ramps. That'll be the big check. Do they clash with the ramp? And the only way I can check that is if I hide this son of a bitch. And nope, they do not clash with the ramp. So that's awesome. See how that goes up? Okay, so now this needs an ear that comes all the way up and flips across. That way I don't need this post here. I can't do that on this side, unfortunately. Yeah, with how I have this designed right now, and the design is going to change ultimately, but how I have this designed right now, I can't do this on this side because these posts are way down here and this post is over here. And I'm not going to attempt to try to do that on the curve. Screw that. That ain't happening. No way. Um I think of a way to do it, but it just makes curving it so much more. I'm not going to deal with it. I would love if I can somehow do a similar ear right here, so I don't need this post also. But I don't know. And here, well, like I said, I kind of want this to curve in. I don't know if that makes sense actually because of where that post is. I might not be able to do that. I might not be able to get rid of this curve easily. Because I wanted to, I wanted this to be a flat piece and then I wanted this to curve it, but I don't think I can do that with how this curve is set up. So I rather not rock that boat. Okay, let's do this last operation, then I'll be done for this morning. I'll be satisfied. Um, I'll then spend a little bit of time actually next stream, like looking at this and figuring out what other brackets I need to make because I know I want the bracket on this side. I want to do a similar bracket on this left side. I'm going to need. Well, next stream I will need to modify this ramp piece because um, it this section needs to be moved, and I'm going to change this into sheet metal that's going to connect into this reverse ramp here. That'll be next stream. I got things I got to do starting at 10 o'clock. But yeah, so that'll be next stream. And it's going to be a sheet metal because I don't want to deal with habit trails. That's a pain in the ass if I'm going to be producing this, like 10 of these, maybe, potentially. I don't want to deal with that. And this, whoops. And next stream, what I also might end up doing is just trying to figure out what the final guides are going to be all around this. Because I'd love to get these sent out to Send Cut Send maybe next week. Obviously, I need to sit and ruminate on this a little bit. Another thing I want to figure out, do I want this to be a wood block here, or do I want this to be a metal guide here? There's pros and cons to both. If it's a metal guide, then that widens this outlane a little bit, which is not necessarily what I like ideal or something, but it also is one less piece of wood I gotta cut, and it can all be in, straight through and send cut send. It also means if this is a piece of metal here, I don't need this metal flange up in this corner because this can be all just one straight piece of metal going across ish, which simplifies this lift here. I need to decide if I'm going to extrude this out a little bit and in cut into this side rail like a bunch of machines do to help guide it. I'm not sure if that's needed, but if I don't do that, maybe there will be problems. Also, if you look straight down here, this left orbit can be pulled in quite a bit. I mean, look at this. Look how narrow this is. Let's go straight in a little bit more. Oh, I said straight in. Stop shifting, you dingus. Now with this, and then if I tilt down a little bit, oh, screwing it up too much. So that rail, that left orbit, I mean, look how far over to the left that is compared to the. It doesn't need to be that far, really. So I can pull that in more, and I might even be able to get a target, another target on the left, because I'd love to add a couple more spot targets on this thing. Now that this ramp is pulled back a little bit, well, I can't really necessarily add a spot target here, but if this shifts, if this guide over here shifts over a little bit more, and just knowing how this plays, I can now guide this a little bit more and maybe put a spot target right in the front here. You know, or I can pull this guide in more. Again, knowing how this plays, how low this plays, because it really is a very wide gap right here for this flipper. So this probably can come in a little bit more and still like loop over to this left flipper like I want it to, and it might make more sense because you're slamming in here. So there's a little bit of adjustment I can do over on this right side as well. So we're getting there, but I think next week I'll probably be able to get to a point where I can get potentially final metal rails and bits for Send Cut Send. Probably Thanksgiving week I'll be able to cut, or the weekend of Thanksgiving I'll be able to do, the before Thanksgiving I'll be able to cut another play field, do more new set of ramps and all this other thing. So Thanksgiving, Black Friday day, maybe I'll have the final or the version 2 mostly final layout, only adjustments being maybe something underneath the pumpkin. All right, let's add this last little flange. I'm done talking, chit-chatting and talking about things. Whoops. So this, I want to extrude up. All right, well, let's just convert entity. I don't want you to be on that line. I want to be able to move you up. But you do need to be perpendicular. And you can be maybe like 1 inch. Will that work? Oh, it can be 1.5 inches. No, it can be 1 inch, and I can also not have it on that end. I can move it in a little bit. So when I bend, like 1 inch, give or take, is like the best I can do with the little finger thing that I have. Anything more than 1 inch, I need to add little slots on there, which, okay, well, actually, yes, I do want to do that here. Otherwise, I won't know where to bend the little tab. You'll see. Kind of like what I did with the other ramp pieces. So this will be fine to make it 1.5 inches, actually. Rude. Come on, come on, come on, come on. This. Select the sketch. Extrude. Thank you. Oy vey. Um, 0.5, 5/8, 11/16, 12/16. Okay, that's where that is. 12/16, or 3/4 inch up. And this is going to come out this way. I'm going to sketch on the top. I'm going to do something a little cheeky. This is going to come it's not where I wanted it to go. So here, this needs to be collinear. This needs to be collinear. And if I look straight down, so the cheeky thing I'm going to do, I'm going to have it roughly the same contour of the ramp. That way I know when I put the ramp on how lined up it is. See that? It was going to be a little bit bigger just so I can have the hole there and so it has a place to sit. But now the ramp is going to follow this. So when I put it on, if it's like lined up pretty well, then I know I did good. And it's where it's supposed to be. Just like little helping guides here or there. What's the distance here? So 0.6 the distance here. 0.25. So, you know, it's close enough. It's not perfect, but it's close enough. I'm going to extrude 1/16. It's going to go the other way. That way it becomes part of this. Now I can add my fillets. I wonder, these fillets here, can I pull this all the way down there? I can. Pull this fillet. Can I pull this fillet all the way down? Yes, I can. Excellent. This is the inner fillet. Here. This is the outer fillet. Here. Okay. Did what I wanted to there. Good. This is sharp, so I am going to actually... Can I take my chamfer and bring you down to there? Yes, I can. Nifty. Right there, just so that doesn't poke a hole in my skin when I go to put this together. I don't know. I guess for consistency, I'll put it on the other side too. Because why not? And now with this, I'm going to make the sketch hole here, here, here to here. Make sure these are perpendicular. And this, not that. This to this, going to be point, well, 3/8. And then this here to here. Creates. What does 9/16 look like? I'm sorry, 7/16 look like? That's probably better. 7/16. Because all this is doing is holding the ramp. Where is the ramp hole, anyways? It is right in the middle there. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, and then this is going to be a extrude cut. 1/16 down. No, it's going to be more than that. It's going to be 3/32. 3/32. Yeah. Okay, so that's my guide hole. So I can line up my fingers to that thing when I bend, and then it'll be on the right spot. And actually, what I should do too, because I didn't, because I was silly, since this is a top sketch, I can just also in the same operation go here and add, the actual screw hole. And this needs to be 0.13 inches because I want to thread this to be 632. That way I don't need like a nut underneath this thing and I can just screw the thing in. And I think that's what that needs to be. Hang on a second, I'm gonna double check. 632 tap size. 632 minor diameter 0.15. So 0.13 might be too big. 632 drill size. All right, so clearance size. There's for number 6. Normal drill size is 18. The hole diameter between that and that. What? No, that's too big. That's way too big. No, that's wrong. That's way too big. Oh, that's the screw size. The number 6. Yeah, no, that's way too big. That's not what I want. Um. Okay, so here's this thing. This looks kind of neat. This is a neat little tool because it does the drill and it does the tap. But obviously that's useless for me when I'm making the hole. In drill bit for 632, screw through 9/64 inch. Okay. I think that's roughly what I have in 9/64. 1.4. That's too big. That's way too big. 1.3. Not 1.3. 0.13. 0.13. I think 0.13 is what I want for this from what I've done in the past. Sorry, I'm just. That is not the size of a 632. No way. Because I have an easy way to figure this out. All right, I'm gonna stop the sketch here. Exit this. I am gonna go to something that I made recently that I know is 632 compliant. Um, Optimize this. The $1,000,000 question is, where did I put it? Probably under posts. Yeah. Okay. I know this is 632 compliant. Remember, this is the thing I 3D printed. What is the size of this hole? 0.13. Yeah. Okay. That's obviously what I want then. So 0.13 is what I want for my tap, because then or for the drill or hole, because then when I put the tap in there, it'll work fine. And see, this is now raised up perfectly fine. I don't need any washers or anything under there. I can always put a washer on the top. And now I can take this thing, go goodbye, 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 and then device holes this thing and go goodbye. So that's 5 extra components I don't need. So 1, the standoff, 2, the post, 3, the plastic post, 4, the T-nut, 5, the screw. So that's 5 components I just saved on this by just adding a flange there. That's also why I think, if I can, I kind of want to add a flange here somehow for this. If I pull this up and across, and kind of bend it in a way, I can probably have a similar flange and not need this stupid post right here, which would be great. Or if I even extend this straight out a little bit, because that should be fine, I can probably get rid of the flange there, or the another 5 components, just like I got rid of 5 components by having this the way I did. And technically, this side rail should come up a little bit more. I have it mated so it works on this side, but I don't have it mated so it works on this side. So I can do that, and then that'll fix even more issues. Um, Anyways, any way to trim out your BOM, do it. There's no harm in that. So as long as it doesn't affect the integrity of the project, find shortcuts to trim things out, reuse pieces as needed. This section right here on this rail, I want that to be the mounting point for this ramp, because remember, this kind of reverse ramp also has that little footprint thing. You can bring it up. Yeah, like right here. So if this can come up and have a screw kind of go down in there, then I not only can I have scenery right here to cover some of this, but I can also have like it all attached to the same point. And yeah, that's way up there. So that's way up. That's like way over here. But this is something that can easily just go straight over, have an attach point, and then have a plastic scenery thing on the side, which can help guide you into the thing. One of the little plastic signs or some such. All right, so that's everything I kind of wanted to get done right now. Yeah, next stream will be, I don't know, maybe tomorrow, but probably Thursday. I'll do a stream Thursday at 8 o'clock ish to work on those things I mentioned: this right ramp, this right orbit, um, possibly define the ramp flaps for everything. Just kind of clean up this whole section over here, whole right section, and the little niggly things with the ramps. I'll then the stream after that on Saturday will be specifically just rejiggering these ramps, because they do need to change, and then defining plastics. That way, the next time I make ramp bucks, I'll only need 2 ramp bucks. One here, and then everything else is going to be on plastics, like I really want it to be. Because I want the next playfield to be largely final, except for, like I said, this pumpkin thing. Goal for that is uh, Thanksgiving weekend. So Black Friday, I want to have the final playfield or all the parts for the final playfield to assemble and test on Sunday. Thanksgiving weekend Sunday. That'll be good. Then I can spend all my time in December just focusing on the pumpkin animatronic and this whole section here. Do I want another path here for this flipper? Do I want uh, just a bunch of lights and scenery? Like, what do I want in this section? Because it's big enough that I can manipulate some things. Do I want the pumpkin to even turn? Maybe if the pumpkin doesn't even rotate, then I don't need this big hole here, and that opens this whole section up for even more things. BOM provided, right? So, anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this. It is now close to 10 o'clock. I gotta get going. I'll see you in a couple days.